Hey there. So, welcome to this session, which is all about how to start a side hustle. I'm going to try and get through this in around about 20 to 30 minutes. I'm not also going to sell you anything at the end of this session or try and sell you anything. I don't know about you, but I hate when you get into those webinars, you think this sounds interesting, and actually all they are is a long sales process. And the first 20 minutes is a bit of content, then you start getting the clues, and then it's sales all the way. So, I'm not going to be selling anything. Instead, I am going to be getting straight into how you can start a side hustle for yourself. So let's get straight into this, and I'll walk you through everything we're going to be doing in today's session. And then I will start you off and how to get yourself started. And the key to this, by the way, is to stop looking for, as Dave Solomon, a good friend of mine on TikTok often says, looking for a unicorn at the bottom of a coal mine. The problem with so much about side hustle nonsense you read on socials everywhere is that they're always promising these amazing deals. And the reality is they just aren't as good as they make out. So I'm going to keep this very, very real. The numbers I'm going to talk about, the money that you might be making out of some of these ideas are very, very low. Okay, I'm going to be upfront about that. And I'm also not going to give you specific ideas about what side hustle you should be starting. If you're still looking for those, frankly, you are wasting your time and probably money. What you've got to do is to follow a very simple little process and understand for yourself the kinds of side hustles that you might want to be doing. So let's start to take a look at this. And these are the questions that we're looking at today. So what is it? You probably know, but let's be clear. Why do you need one? Again, if you don't know the answer to that, we have an issue. I suspect you probably do, but let's be absolutely clear. I will race through those. And that third point there, what is the best side hustle for me? Now, this is a question I get asked on my TikTok channel all of the time. My TikTok channel is Graham David. Literally every time I do a live, somebody will say, what's the best side hustle for? And they'll describe their situation. Somebody who's at home for the last 3 years has lost their nerve, or a younger person without much money, or an older person who maybe has been away from work for a while, or somebody who doesn't like selling. I get those questions all of the time. And the answer is really what I'm going to walk you through in this session today. What's the best side hustle for you will depend on you. So as we go through there, if you want a pen and a paper, you can jot some ideas down as we're talking. How much money will this make you? I'm going to give you very, very shrunk down versions of how much money you might make. Now, I have several side hustles going on at any one time, and my social media is all of them together is one of my side hustles, and I make reasonable money out of a combination of several side hustles. But I come at all my side hustles with a particular approach, which is, for me, I want to enjoy what I'm doing. I don't want to work too hard on them because my main business takes a lot of my time and effort. And I really want to enjoy it, not spend much time on it, and really sort of dip in and dip out whenever I want. You may be different. So if you've got no other source of income, or if you're in a bit of a desperate situation where you need cash, you might be looking at this very, very differently. The kinds of numbers I'm going to talk about are very light touch. The legalities of starting a little side hustle, very simple, but everybody always wants to ask. And we're going to be talking about making that one sale. That's the aim of this webinar. Now, you might not know that, but now you do. I'm looking to help you make that first sale. It does say Q&A at the bottom. That's because I did this as a live webinar a little while ago. There are unlikely to be Q's and A's, of course, if you're watching this as a pre-record. So let's get into this. That is what a side hustle is. It's a little job. It's an extra something. It's an additional source of income. Now, it can include things like driving for one of the ride share companies, or delivering foods, those kind of companies, a shift in your local pub, joining a cleaning firm and doing shifts after hours. It could be any of those sorts of things. But what I'm talking about is an extra thing you do, that you start yourself, a small business, if you like, to get yourself started. And why do you need one? Well, you can see that little snapshot there. That was taken at the end of 2021. And if you're watching this now in mid-2022, I'm recording this on the 1st of August, then you will know what's happened with the cost of living crisis. It has absolutely gone out of all proportion of what we expected even 8-9 months ago. And we know there's another rise due in October and another rise due in January 23. That's why you need this. And of course, people lose their jobs all the time. People have additional savings they want to get. People have personal situations. People have things they want to achieve. So you might have your own driver. And I would urge you right now to decide what your reason is for wanting a side hustle. Because here's the thing. It's extra work, it's extra effort, it's at weekends or holidays or in the evenings or first thing in the morning or middle of the night, because you've got your job the rest of the time. That's the nature of a side hustle. So it's finding the extra time to do this, and that isn't easy. So you need a strong and compelling reason. Are you saving for a holiday? That's a good one. You're trying to get rid of some credit card debt? That's another good one. You get rid of debt, you've got more of your own money to keep. Are you trying to replace some lost income? Perhaps somebody in your family, maybe they're struggling. These are all things that you can do to start to figure out why, and that's your driver. All right, so this is what's on the screen now, the root of everything I talk about when we get into side hustles. It's very, very simple, three-part process. What do you like doing, right? What are you good at doing? And that's on the basis of the first list. And then you cross-check to look for problems. What can you solve? What can you do better than other people? What can you achieve faster? So very simply, and I'll give you some examples of this in a minute, you will write down, you can do this as we're talking, you can do this after you've watched, but you'll write down everything you like doing. Yeah, everything. All right. Then you will cross-check what of those things that you like doing are you good at. I like playing PlayStation, but I'm not very good at it. Now, don't worry about whether this makes you money yet. Just do those first two. So what do you like doing? And then cross-check against the things that you're good at. I love playing guitar, but I'm really not very good at it. By contrast, I'm actually pretty good at doing basic garden maintenance, shifting and lifting and burning old stuff and composting stuff and moving big tree trunks. I'm quite good at that. I don't really like it. So you want to match between things you like and things you're good at. And then the third part is to start to think on that sweet spot, things I like doing and I'm good at, how could I adapt that to solve a problem, to be better or faster or cheaper than somebody else? So here's what that might look like. There on the left is my examples of things that I like doing. All right. I like doing all of those things. And on the right are things that I'm good at. So talking on camera is what I'm doing right now. I like doing this and I'm pretty good at doing it too. Playing PS games, yeah, not so much. So it goes through until on my list, I'd end up with those four things: talking on camera, public speaking, writing script, and teaching. Then the next part is we get a little bit creative. So starting on the left there with just the things that I like doing and I'm good at, that's the camera, the speaking, the script, and the teaching. Then I come into the next part. The next part is, what problems could I solve with that skill set? So what annoys me about other suppliers? What could I do better? What could I do faster, cheaper? How can I help other people? Where is it that I feel enthusiasm? So let's look at public speaking, for example. Now, a lot of my main business is built around public speaking, but could I help people prepare for a wedding speech, like a best man speech? Or could I help them to prepare to speak at their local club if they've got to stand up once a month and talk about the accounts, or they've got to talk about new membership or whatever? That fills a lot of people with dread. Could I teach people how to network better? Yeah, of course I could. So it's a little bit about thinking, where are the issues that things don't work very well? So I'll give you a good example where this hasn't matched somebody's planning. A little while ago, I saw a candle shop in the center of a little city, and it was on the outskirts of the city. And I just knew from watching this person set up that it wasn't going to succeed. And sure enough, I think I went past 6 months ago and it was all boarded up. And the night I went past, I think they'd just taken the lease and they were setting up candles, and the shop was full of candles, quite expensive candles. Now, here's the thing. They've probably got something there that they like doing. Let's assume they made some of those candles, or they enjoyed trawling the world and getting these candles imported. I don't know, right? So they like doing it, and let's assume they were really good at it as well. The problem, however, was, what problem did they solve? And my suggestion is they probably didn't, because opening up a candle shop in a little retail place these days is a huge risk. You've got massive outgoings, but what problem do you resolve? A lot of people now know for those sorts of things, they can get onto sites like Etsy or eBay or many other sites. Amazon, I'm sure, will have a craft stand soon. And all these places, of course, can sell considerably greater options at considerably lower prices than you can in your local shop. So I wasn't surprised that that went bump. If I think about those 4 sets of skills, all right, the fact that I can teach, right, so I can become a teacher or a lecturer, or I can run a training business as I do now, what else could I teach? Well, look at what I'm doing right now. I'm helping you start a side hustle. So I'm starting to find some crossover points. And this is the bit that takes time. And this is why, big warning, this is why everybody finds themselves on TikTok or Facebook or YouTube signing up for those ridiculous courses. And they're either free, but there's a sales pitch coming, or they tell you this is the price. So they tell you you will make money from fulfilled by Amazon, right? Drop shipping, from Forex, from trading crypto or foreign currencies, from rent to rent property deals. Now, I'm not saying that all of these things are a scam. They can all make money. But if you're not particularly good at doing some of the key things you need to do and you don't like them, you can see the difficulty you're going to have. You are better to start with this as the first few steps and piece your way through this. And this is really why I've said brainstorm. You've got to put a bit of thought and process into this. And it can be the simplest thing. I often give an example in my TikTok lives. If you need to make money, like within the next few days, go door to door and offer to do some basic gardening. Have some flyers so they don't need to decide there and then, but bang on the door. Do you need any help? I can do this, this, and this. This is my rate. This is how I'll work. This is how I'll do it. If you start with friends and neighbors, it's even easier. If you're good at building websites, go to your local shops and businesses, do a bit of research on them, find how dreadful their websites are, because most of them will be, figure out why they need a website. There's no point trying to sell a website to a news agent unless you can tell him how it's going to make more money for him, right? And then just put, hit the microphone, just put a little bit of thought and effort into that. So this is about spending a bit of time. You've got to share your ideas with other people. Sometimes people think, well, it's a great idea. I can't tell anybody in case they nick it. I can promise you, no one's going to nick it. I mean, it's just not going to happen. Ideas are dead simple. How many ideas have you had for businesses and side hustles in your life? Sat late in a pub, chatting nonsense with a mate. It's actually doing it that's the problem. Think about what's important to you. For me, minimal time and effort, and I want to like doing it. Now, if you're in a desperate situation and you need money, well, you'll probably put the time in you need. If you're in a desperate situation and you need money, you might hate it, but you need the cash. So put that balance into your whole measure as well. So all of my side hustles, and I'll share with you sorts of numbers in a minute, are based on I don't want to spend any time, I kind of enjoy them, and away we go. All right. And that last question there, how quickly can you try this out? Because talking about it is a piece of cake. I want you to actually start it. I want you to do it and get it up and running. How much money will this make you? Well, let's assume you're not going to make a lot of money to start with. Now, you could do, but let's assume you won't. Let's not make any mad promises about how you might do here. So for every one you spend, look to earn 2. That's it. What does that mean? Well, if you buy if you buy cake ingredients and it costs you £5, try and sell your cake for £10 plus. That's it. That's all it means, right? Now, that's a guide. That's a starter. You might make 3, 4, 5 times that amount, or you might really struggle to make a tiny percentage, but it's a much larger sum of money. But just start with that as a guideline. Think about doubling up, because remember your time and your efforts. For me, offering service is easier than offering a product because of my skill set. I can talk to cameras. I can write stuff. I can work with people. Now, all of that is a service, which means I've got to charge for my time. So that might be something you do. But what you've got to do is to understand the proof of concept. What does that mean? Well, rather than spending a long, long time building a website, getting a brand, Right, look at that little logo top of my screen over there, right? The one that says Make Money Direct. So that cost me £6. Now, is it a beautiful graphic? Is it a fabulous name? Is it superb? It's all right. It's not perfect, but for £5 or £6, I can live with it for a while. Now, if this is a concept doesn't work, I've lost £5 or £6. A lot of people will spend huge amounts of money on websites and logos and planning out stuff, which feels like you're getting somewhere. No, I want you to work for the proof of concept. That means get it started. And we're talking about compounding there, and I'll go into that in a little bit of a deal right now. So if you're selling, and you can see some kind of numbers there, I don't want to spend any time on my work at all. I just literally want to get on with it and see if I can do this and make this work, right? So I would start to work it out like this. If I've got my pricing point and I've got my how many I might sell per week or per month, then I can start to see the amounts of money. So at £10 per week, if I make £10 a week and I take 2 weeks off for Christmas and my birthday, that's 50 weeks at £10 a week. That's £500. And at this point, people often say it's not worth it. It's not worth it. All that effort and stress and time. All right, to start with, it will be effort and stress and time. But I have a side hustle that in the last year has probably made me, I'm just thinking because I did some sales last week, probably made me a little over £1,200, right? So it's about £100 a month. Now, to get it started took me 2 or 3 days of fairly solid work. That's a lot of work. But each delivery per sale now is literally 3 to 5 minutes. That's negligible. That's less than it takes to drink a cup of coffee. In other words, every time I get an offer now, I'm tap, 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 cut and paste that, move that file over there, make a quick video myself, move another file over there, send. That's it. Now, if you start to think in those terms, the actual delivery time between then and now doesn't matter. It means that I put work in for 2 or 3 days and I've made £1,200 that 2 or 3 days. My guess is you're probably not making £1,200 for 2 to 3 days work at the moment. That's why it's worth considering, because these can scale up very fast. And this is where we start to think about compounding. If I sell £10 a week for a year, 500 quid, if I can increase that, then up to £1,500 per year. Now that's worth having, isn't it? £1,500 per year, that's worth having. Now, currently, with my various side hustles, I probably make a little over 11,000 with very, very small amounts of time. It's very light touch. And the time I do spend on it is time I enjoy. So this is why it's more important to get a thing up and running, whether it's a product or a service, it's selling, it's helping people, it's teaching, whatever it is, it's get it up and running. Once you've got that, then you go back and you think, can I lower the price? Can I lower the costs? Can I increase the price? Can I cut the time it takes me to put it right? Inevitably, when you first do something for the first time, a new set of skills, it will take you longer. But you're looking for that proof of concept. Does the idea actually work? The legalities are starting in the UK. Very, very simple. Now, this is certainly the case. What's on the screen right now? What's the case now? For most people, you get £1,000 each a year, tax-free, for property or trading income. So you can't have 5 different ideas and get £1,000 for each. It doesn't work like that. But this means you can start an idea. If you've got a hobby that you love doing, let's say you paint those little action figures, yeah, that the people use on tabletop gaming. Let's assume you do that and you do it very, very well. And whenever you take it to a game, people love it. And you go to those shop windows, you sometimes see people playing in there, and there's always a bit of a queue to look at your work. So you might start putting videos out on that. You might start doing masterclasses on it. You might start actually doing painting for people. Well, you can start up, and your first £1,000, for most people, check your own tax situation. You don't even need to tell HMRC. That's the HMRC website. Look it up yourself, hmrc.gov.uk. Look up small trading allowance, and you will find exactly what I'm saying there. So you can try an idea yourself. And away you go. It's that simple. You don't need a limited company. You don't need a brand. You don't need a logo. You don't need a website. All of those things might help you. But to start with, just get started. Can you make some money? You're going to need a unique taxpayer reference. That's a UTR number. Again, very simple. Contact HMRC. I think you can do it online. And that's it. You can still start even without your UTR number. You can still get going, because so long as you track the money you make, as long as you write it down or put it on a spreadsheet or have some method of tracking your income and also, of course, your expenses, you can absolutely and reasonably say, well, I was starting, I want to see if it works. So you can always register and say, this is the money I've made if you need to. Let's say you have a massive takeoff and everything goes very, very well for you. All right. That really, let me just check that. Yeah, cool. That really is all I want to say on this session today. And it's all about this proof of concept. You've got to make one real sale to one real customer. That's not your mum. She'll buy anything from you. It's not your weird mate Bob down the pub. He'll buy anything because he's had too much beer. You've got to find somebody you don't know. They've got to find you. That means getting on an advert or an eBay or an Etsy or a TikTok or a YouTube or whatever, standing down the car boot, standing at the end of your garden with a sign up. You've got to find a real customer, and they've got to give you real money. You can't do a thing where you say, oh, it's brand new. Can I do it for free? And then you make me a donation afterwards if you like it. And then, no, it's a straight sale. That's all you've got to do. And that's exactly the point I was just making. Do this before you spend money. And this is why those dodgy little sales things that promise to make you $1 million or $500,000 and £1,000 a week with no effort, and they'll show you everything, they are not going to show you anything you can't find in 5 minutes Googling. And by the way, if you can't be bothered to Google for 5 minutes, you shouldn't be starting your own business. This is absolutely the simplest, bare minimum way of getting started. Find out that you've got a product or service. Find out that people want to buy it. And if the first time, let's say it costs you £5, £10, £15 to get your thing up and running, or your time. Let's say you overspend time with your customer or client, and then they pay you the money and you think, oh, I think I've made about 50p an hour on that. Brilliant. Now you have an idea. And if you loved it, if you enjoyed it, you will also know what you need to do to make it go quicker and faster and better. That is the end of this webinar. Now, hopefully you have enjoyed this. If you have, find me on TikTok. I'm Graham David. And please, in this YouTube, subscribe. Why don't you let me know what you thought about it? And if you have any questions for me, ask me questions and I will do my very best to answer for you. See you next time.